Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael. Dallas, we're talking today about test driving your retirement.
Thanks, Michael.
Love the topic.
Thank you, yeah.
Love the title.
This is one of those podcasts, we always say every podcast should only be a 5-minute podcast, and then we end up waffling about something else, but this is one of those.
You may just be known, your quote down the track when you pass away, you may just be known for, this should only be a 5-minute podcast.
That'll be on my tombstone.
Hopefully I'll be known for when you retire, your money gets dressed and goes to work for you.
Yeah.
You'll be known for, this should just be a 5-minute podcast.
No. So my theory here is I often think of the title of a podcast, and you kind of go, if you stopped the podcast after just reading the title, hopefully you can get 80% of the point I'm trying to get across here. So the main thesis I'm trying to say here is, and we do this throughout our whole life, we have an image of what we think the future will look like. And of course, it's always rosy and it's always wonderful, and we will only see the good sides of things, but we don't actually test drive these things. And where obviously the phrase comes from, when you go to buy a new car, you think righto, well, what sort of car do we want? What's going to suit our family? What's going to suit our situation? You don't normally just go and buy it out of a catalogue. You go, you pick the car up, you test drive it. You'll normally drive it around everywhere, take it to your house, park it. And obviously, having driven different cars at different times, you realise that the more you can sort of do the sorts of things that you live your normal life with, that's a better way to test drive that car. So you see a lot of car dealerships now will basically say, take the car for 2 days, take it for 3 days. Don't just take it for a drive around the block. Take it for 2 days. Live your life with that car. Build that image of what does my life look like with that car, and then make a decision from there. Yep. So I think the same thing applies with our lifestyle, and so particularly with retirement, it's normally a big change for people. So what got me thinking about this was that often when we talk to people about, what do you want to do in retirement? We talk a lot about the financial side of how do we fund your retirement, and okay, great, you're retired now and you've got $80,000 or $100,000 a year worth of passive income. You don't have to go to work anymore, and we sort of go, okay, that's that done. But that's really only the start of it, because then it's right. Well, you wake up on that Monday. What do you actually do? What do you fill your time with? What actually gives you meaning? What gives you a purpose? What gives you enjoyment? All these sorts of things. And I think a lot of the time, we sort of have it as this vague thing in the future. We don't test drive it. We don't actually test out any of the things that we think are going to give us meaning and give us purpose in life, and until we've made huge changes and changed everything around that. So for example, one of the thoughts that I had here was long service leave. Like, a lot of people retire and get their long service leave paid out, and to me, and we've talked about this before, it's something that you can do a bit differently. But one way to do it would be to say, right, a year before I want to retire, I'm going to take 3 months off, and I'm going to live the life. I might not go on a 3-month around the world holiday. I'm just going to live that 3 months as though I'm retired, if that makes sense. I'm going to stay where I plan to be when I'm retired. If I'm going to stay in the same house, I'll stay there. I just won't have work filling up that 3 months. Yeah, and test. And what that allows you to do is test a lot of the assumptions that you maybe unconsciously have or subconsciously have about what you will actually get enjoyment out of. Yeah,
well, it would tell you that. It'll also give you a really good indicative spend as well.
That's a good point, actually.
The other thing, that'd be useful data for us.
Yes,
because we'd be able to say, okay,
well again,
you were off. You were effectively testing your retirement for this 3 months.
Yeah.
Here's what you spent.
Yeah.
Let's multiply that by 4.
Yeah.
And that gives us a really, really good idea of sort of what you're going to spend. If we in full-time retirement.
That's a great point, because what we tend to see, and we've talked about this before, is that a good proxy is what you spend in other years, because you probably maintain a similar lifestyle. But depending on what your lifestyle is in that 3 months, it might be vastly more, and that, like you say, that's good knowledge, because if we've worked on you spending $60,000 a year in retirement, and then in your 3 months that you've been on long service leave, you've spent $30,000 in 3 months, you extrapolate that out and go, that's 120 grand a year. Something's wrong here. These two numbers don't match up. So either you need to change what your lifestyle is in retirement, or we need to change your goals and how much income you need. So yeah, that's a good. I hadn't really thought too much about the financial.
That just occurred to me then.
Yeah.
But yeah, your point is from a lifestyle point of view.
Yeah.
And I like the idea.
Yeah.
We've had people before that think they can't wait to retire.
Yeah.
And they go from full-time work to full-time retirement, and it's a really hard adjustment, because they in many cases they still liked what they did. What they'd really like is a bit more flexibility.
Yes.
We've actually had many people go back. We've done entire podcasts on this, in fact. Like, I think it was a recent podcast called "Why You Should Start Your Own Business in Retirement."
Yeah.
Tend to be people that are experts in their own field, non-physical workers, because it's obviously hard to work physically. But they tend to go back into consultant type roles, where they can pick it up and put it down. They can go traveling and those types of things. So, because some people are just bored, and they don't. Yeah. They still want to.
And that's kind of one of those things. I think that's where 3 months long service leave is actually is a perfect time frame, because, like I've always said this, the amount of times people have said to me, what are you going to do in retirement? I'll go fishing. All right, well, it doesn't matter how much you like fishing. You go fishing for a week straight, and most people at the end of a week of fishing, they go, right, well, that's enough now.
I have some retired clients that they wanted to go fishing, and they also wanted to go caravanning, and they'd had a caravan for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't get time to use it until they retired.
Yeah.
And they worked out they didn't like caravanning.
I think it's amazing how many people do similar things. It's not, we're not picking on fishing or caravan here. I think I've had clients before that say, in retirement we'll help our kids out with their grandkids, and then I think there must be times where there must be a lot of situations where the grandparents go, right, I'll go and pick the kids up from school, and then after a week of doing that, they go, geez, I'm sick of this. I've done this. I don't want to be picking up these kids and dealing with chaos and for that, and having them for the afternoon, or dropping whatever they think that is. It must be hard to kind of go, I've said that I'll do that, and now I can't really back out of it. And so it's a similar. I think the 3 month thing. If you said, right, for that 3 months, all right, well, I'll do the kid pickup for the grandkids. The beauty of it is, at the end of 3 months, you go, oh, well, I've got to go back to work. Sorry, I can't do this indefinitely. And there's a natural stopping point for a lot of those things. So it does make it easy, because you're not saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it for the next 10 years. You get a trial run of a few different things there with a natural stopping point where you can go, okay, well, we do our 3 months, and then at the end of that, let's actually sit down and reassess what are the things that we really got a lot of enjoyment, a lot of meaning out of, and what are the things that we did that we thought we would enjoy that we just really didn't. And so when it comes time to plan then the next burst of retirement, or retiring fully, you go, right, well, let's scratch a lot of those things that we really just didn't enjoy, and let's just do more of the things, or let's go and find other things that to fill our life in retirement that we think we will enjoy, and trial it again. So yeah, I think that's to me, I guess from a lifestyle point of view, that's human beings are uniquely incapable of knowing in advance what's going to make us happy. That's just across the board. That has been the truth since the beginning of time, is that we think we know what's going to make us happy, and we just really don't. And so that's why we test things.
It's funny, because I mean, I can't see myself ever being fully retired. I can see myself cutting back well into the future. I'm only 46 right now, but well into the future, I can see myself cutting back and having less clients and and doing things a little bit differently, where I don't have to be in the office every day. But I get enjoyment out of actually, helping people and being productive and things like that.
Yeah.
And there's I've seen that in some of my clients as well. There's other clients that we have. Your father is a great example.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't be able to imagine fitting in
any work
anymore because he's
and he says this all the time.
He's busy camp drafting and doing all those types of things.
Exactly.
Like so, and he's having a ball.
Yes.
Being retired and doing all of those things that he had to struggle to fit in when he was working.
As a teacher.
So he's completely. I mean, he's in a situation where he's just hit the ground running. In his retirement and going here, there, and everywhere.
I guess that's true. But even if you look at my parents' retirement, it was probably similar in as much as they actually both went from full-time teaching to part-time teaching and bits of contract work, and it was that sort of. They did to some degree trial it, and then what they found was that the things that they did outside of teaching, they got a lot of enjoyment and really were happy doing those things, and so then they just dialed that up. But it was the same sort of thing where I think there wasn't the same pressure because they kind of went, well, I'm still working on if they tried that and Dad was off camp drafting and Mum was off traveling around the world, and if they'd found that wasn't bringing them enough enjoyment, they would have just tried something different until they found the right thing. And that's, it's. I think about the retirement thing as similar to work. Like many people, even people who are 60 now and will tell you, I have worked in one job for the last 40 years. If you actually dig in, what actually happens a lot is that the first year they might have gone and started one job and then they didn't like that and they've moved sideways into something else, and there's a bit of an adjustment period when you start your working life. You don't know really what you're talented at, what you're going to be good at, what you're going to enjoy, and what the world really wants from you. And so you tend to find that in that first 5-10 years of your career, you're really finding your groove. And I think that the same sort of thing happens, I would say, in the first 3 years of your retirement, is that it takes, I tend to find it takes 3 years for clients to really find their groove in retirement of what are the things that I really enjoy, what are the things that I really want to do, and fitting all that in the right way. And even just the psychology of, it takes 3 years for people to get comfortable with the idea that they are retired. So I think that it tends to take 3 years when there's a sudden sort of a stop like that. If you can do something like this where you're testing those things out in the last few years of your working life, it probably just makes that adjustment period a bit quicker. And so you can kind of hit the ground, like you say, hit the ground running where you happen to be, okay, well, when I retire, I know I'm going to do this, I'm going to go caravanning, and I know that I've enjoyed that because, so as you say, the caravanning thing, I've got other clients that have, in the last few years, they've done a 6-week and an 8-week caravanning trip, and they love it. And that's, and it sort of gives them comfort even while they're at work to know that they have a thing that they are looking forward to when they retire.
Well, it's great to get that confirmation that they love it.
Yeah.
But you can in the last year of your working life, you can be planning where you're going to go. Like you get a lot of enjoyment out of actually planning.
And they do. That's exactly
where
right.
we're going to go as soon as we retire. So and working all that out and
whereas you can sort of understand that it would be very demoralising for people like. To go, okay, when I retire, we're going to go on this caravanning trip around for 6 months around Australia, and then you get a month into the trip and go, geez, we don't like this at all, but it's kind of been this thing that we've built up in our mind, and if we don't do this, then what else will we do? And it's a bit of it would feel like a huge letdown to have worked all your life and then do that. So, I think it makes perfect sense both from a lifestyle point of view, and then also, as you raised before, financially, it's really handy knowledge as the financial planner to go, not only do we think this is what we're going to spend, but we've done a 3-month trial, and yes, that is the amount that we did spend, or no, it's actually less or more than what we thought, and let's adjust our plan based on that. We're not sort of flying blind leading into that retirement phase.
Yeah. Good topic, good title, Dallas. Test drive your retirement. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.